Oh, that was fucking gross. I'm sorry, guys.
Groovy, baby.
Oh my.
We're over here tapping in with KWJT, Puget Sound from space. I'm over here with Corey. You're tapping in with Tavares and sliding with Solana. Y'all already know what's going on, KWJT. First and foremost, you feel me? Team member Solana's not here. We miss you dearly already. And then here's a whole lot of love. We appreciate the Groovy Gang for showing out for last week's episode. That was a legendary moment for us. So go check out that Harry Clean episode if you haven't already. Also, always shout out to Tranquil Forest. We truly appreciate you guys.
Come on.
Thank you for always killing it for us and being undefeated on the podcast. Tranquil Forest is undefeated. And without a further ado-ski this week, let me introduce our guests. We got Miss Casey Carter up in the motherfucking building.
Hey.
Welcome.
What's good, guys? Yes, pussy is power.
Shout out B Hayes.
Come on.
It gets cold out here. Pop up. Last day, actually, today. So by the time you see this,
You should have went there.
you should have went.
Should have been there.
Yes, welcome to the show.
Thank
Casey,
you
we
guys.
really appreciate you for pulling up. How are you doing today?
Oh, fresh off the vid, the Rona. It got me finally, but I'm feeling good. Happy to be here. Very honored to be here with you guys. So thank you guys for having me.
Oh, so are we.
I think it's already
like hella mutual.
Yeah, it is such an honor to have you on the other side of the room. Like, it goes without saying to be in this like field or to even like be active in the media. We definitely have to give our flowers to one of the media queens out here. So no, for real.
No, yeah.
If I could speak,
I'm gonna let you run, brother.
Speak a little freely from the first time I came across your work. You did a lot of like the 93.3 Cube stuff, and local artists were putting in music at the time, and I thought that was very powerful because I have a long-standing hardship with the radio stations out here in Washington, and I just thought it was powerful and cool as fuck that you were doing the things that you were doing. I heard one of my friends, Monster 206, on the radio, and for me being a Polynesian man and like him being one of my main influences in getting into music, thank you for extending your platform to the locals of Washington, and I was able to like hear someone I grew up with on the radio. So I think that like definitely helped me get comfortable with the Groovy Tapes and this idea of being able to sit with my best friends week in, week out, and connect with other people because I seen someone like you do the same thing. So a little hand clap.
No, I was just, that was beautiful. I was waiting.
Yeah, no, I just have to let that be known because sometimes us creators, we go through our careers and what we're doing, and sometimes we don't hear those things, and I feel like people either at home like they want to say those things, but they don't have like, I wouldn't say a power within them, but like, they just aren't used to the idea of sharing their thoughts with people who influence them. So
Yeah, no, that is one thing I'll never do is never miss the opportunity to give somebody their flowers, even if they're just like in the beginning or if like they're super far, like you got to show love because you being a creative, you know how it feels. Like, am I doing this right? Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? So it's always great to like reassure somebody else, like, you doing that shit. You doing good. So thank you. I appreciate that.
of course.
Oh, hell yeah. So I want to start with the beginning because like when I was doing research for Harry, it was like doing research for you. So
I was listening to Harry. I was like, this is a lot of stuff. Like we're so parallel.
So I wanted to know how you got inspired to start making content because you were part of that first age of like YouTube not even existing, but still making content and making it with the homies. So what was it like in the beginning for you to get into like developing like community ideas and community creative things like that?
Well, It kind of started, I used to go out all the time. Like, I was the party girl. I was like at the club Thursday through Sunday. Everybody knew to hit me up. And I was also really into like celebrity gossip. So I had these like little blogs before blogs were like the big thing.
Yeah.
And I was just putting on like, I would go to clubs, take hella pictures, put them on my blog. And then I just had all this content that I was developing, but it wasn't focused on the community yet.
Yeah.
And it was a homie from high school. His name's Jugga Hill. He started seeing what I was doing.
Yeah.
So he took me to a local music show. And prior to that, I thought local music in Seattle was just like low key corny. Like, I'm from the South End. There's a lot of like people who wanted to pretend they were from the Bay, and like it was just corny.
Yeah.
But then when I went to that show, I was like, yo, this is fucking like, this is dope. Like, it was a different side. So it was literally at that moment at the Nectar Lounge when I went to that show where there was probably like 40 people, where I was like, oh, I'm going to do everything I can to help support the community here. And I think it was also too, I was doing something like I was becoming like a creative myself, where I was like, I need this, we need this, we all need this. So it was from that moment right there where I was like, okay, let's get into it. And I just started connecting with all the people who would be out all the time. That's when like everybody from the music scene would like be out at the bar or at the club, where there was shows all the time. So I was able to connect with so many people, and it was just like, this is my mission. I'm going to help everybody.
That was like from what I've been able to gather, just like interviewing people, it's like that was like a real Washington music renaissance. And like you guys were really like paving the way to like, I think the whole like Washington industry today was like, you guys showed us like how to have fun and like how to just like be local and like go out and like build that community. Do you remember who you saw that first show was? Like, who like you saw was like, ooh, I gotta come back and like foster this relationship and build this out more.
The person, I forgot who's the headliner was, but I know Brainstorm from Dime Def.
Yeah.
He was like one of the acts. But I forgot. But shout out to Jugga Hill. I always got to shout him out. He's a rapper out here. I don't know if he's doing music anymore, but good friend from high school. And I credit him in like introducing me to everything like that.
Was the blog started, it was as it always been MissCaseyCarter.com?
It was like a blog spot at first. It literally was just a blog spot, and I forget who it was. I think it was like 84 Fly. Like, me and him got super close, and he was like, you need a website. Like, he was the one who was like pushing me, like, you needed to get these interviews. Like, it was kind of like when I met him, he was like motivating me to like do these, like, move from the blog spot. And then it was MissCaseyCarter.com always.
Oh, that's really dope. Because I was when doing research, I was like, I went really far back to what you were doing. You were hosting like a giveaway. It was like a bunch of artists. It was I want to say it was a lot of More Gang at the time, and then I forget the other artist that you named, but you were like, we're doing a giveaway on MissCaseyCarter.com. And like, if you want, like, if it was like, if you want to get tickets, go to Throwbacks, go to I'm blanking on the other stores. There was a couple other stores that you named, but what was that time to be able to like host all these different like basically scavenger hunts to like get tickets and community involvement and just kind of orchestrate the community behind you and behind like a central vision?
I think that might have been like our anniversary party.
Yes.
That sounds about right, because I think we gave away like 206 free tickets to the party.
That's fire.
Yeah, I was like, we're doing this for the community.
Yeah.
So it was like 206, But I mean, back then I was just so young and so hungry, and just like, it was all like, that's everything I lived and breathed, was like building community, getting like more eyes on these people, like bringing everybody together. Like, I don't know if it's so, I mean, yeah, I see it. So like, a lot of people say it now, like, people think there's like cliques, and like people think there's all this stuff, but it's like, really, there's not. And like, you just got to remove that from your mindset. And that's what I was always trying to do, is just like, you know, like how Mean Girls are?
Yeah.
Like how like they just like try to be all rude and like this is our clique here and like fuck you or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that. That's so ugly to me. And like I know that a lot of people think that like that's how the music industry in Seattle or wherever you are is. And it's like it's really not like that. You're just making that shit up and you're putting out the vibes that are making it hella weird.
Exactly.
And it was like everything I ever did like with sending people to other stores and like just throwing shows with like stacked artists and things like that. It's just like, let's just bring everybody together. Let's not all be weird. Let's be about the fucking community that we are about. Let's stop down talking what we're trying to bring up.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really important too, because it's really hard. I feel like when I finally got introduced to the music industry, and I did have like small feelings of like, ooh, like it is kind of like that where people are clicking up. But the day I like took that away from my like belief, like that's when like doors started opening up. And I could really like attest to that and like really back that up because it was such a weird feeling of mine. Like, ooh, these people are doing it there in that section. These people over here are doing it over there. Like, what's going on? Like, why am I not connecting with them? And then the day I was like, oh, they're not clicking up. I actually got to meet them in the space and like got to speak with them and like, oh, this is totally different from what I thought and believed. And which is very interesting because I think that's like how our whole mass thinks. Like out here in the Pacific Northwest, we're so like, oh, it can't happen, so why should I even try? When you're already cutting yourself short there and having that thought. And the day you're like, I'm actually comfortable in this space and like I want to like be a creator, I want to be creative, that's when it's like an overabundance of like support and like love that like you get. I experienced it firsthand with the Groovy Tapes. Also being an artist, I experienced that as being a musician. So, you know, a lot of people, if you're listening at home and like you're hearing what we're talking about, you know, it takes a lot for you for you to like have that like sense of selflessness and, you know, take that out of your thoughts, you know. The creative scene out here is huge. We've been talking about this for the past year now. Like, you know, if you're getting to this episode, you should know by now that like Seattle, you can throw a bat in the crowd and you can hit about 15 people. That's creative.
I know.
Exactly. You'll find your people. I think what it is everyone's always just trying to get with like what's the most poppin'.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's hella not genuine a lot of the times. People are like, sometimes people just come at you weird and you'd be like, hold on, like that's a bad experience. Like there's just so many little factors. But when you just remove that mindset of like thinking people are not trying to fuck with you, you fuck with yourself, you find the right people, you don't be afraid of what other people are going to think, you'll be okay.
Yeah. And I, especially in this space, I was talking to, I talked to a couple homies about this, but I was talking to a homie that was like, every year we'll see like a new group of artists hit a new milestone. Like between what Highway, Louis, Two-Paid, like just those three artists alone, we've seen them hit like new heights in their careers and take it to like another level and like launch the platform in the city in a bigger light. So I think Washington will continue to see it year after year, and like it'll be a new group of like 5, 10, 15 people until like there's that feeling in the city that we've hit that stride. I think personally that we've hit that stride just because I'm like, there's so many platforms, there's so many places that you can actually rely on and like foster that community and like really like build out a concept and idea and like it get millions of views and things like that. I was I saw your cut you got you on the cut recently, and I was like, it's really cool to like see a lot of like local people on something that has like 10 million subscribers and like does millions and millions of views, and like most people see it and it's like, that's not Washington, and then it's just like, that's hella
that's
Washington.
All us.
Yeah, it's like that's
everybody
all.
on cut is really us.
So
Shout
it's like it's one of those dope experiences that like the world gets to like kind of come into like our little world and like hear certain like Washington stories, because anytime I see it, I'm like, yeah, they're from like some part of like the city, and like they're giving a very like authentic Washington vibe, even though like everyone, they're here for like a specific reason. And like even when you were on and it was like, is your partner black? And I I instantly like pointed out, I was like, that part, like they date someone black, they date someone, like it was very easy to be like, if I was in Washington, who would I see this person with? And it was very cool to see like that just engagement on there, and just like it gives me very like we are very diverse in our creativity, and I wish more people from here would realize like we do numbers in all sorts of ways and all sorts of part of the nation that like people don't even realize like you're from Washington, and things like that.
Oh yeah, we're a true melt. I mean, we always been a melting pot in the South End, and then now it's like, I mean, it's a little more white, but
so much
still
more.
there's still a lot of us here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the erasure of POC stories and just lives in the Pacific Northwest definitely need to stop.
Great word.
You know, like we experience it first at hand when you go out somewhere in the United States and someone's like, "Where are you from?" And it's like, "I'm from Washington." They're like, DC? No. Seattle, Washington. And they're like, oh, Seattle, the Seahawks. And it's like, yeah, but there's definitely a lot more to Seattle than, you know, a lot of people like to let off. So,
you know, I used to hate that, but honestly, I low-key like that. Like, yeah, you don't know shit about us. We up here popping it. Like, yeah, you know, just Starbucks and rain and all that, but like, it's lit up here. So then they finally come and they're like, oh, okay,
I want to live here.
Yeah.
I always tell, up until like 5-6 years ago, Washington was like, I always used to travel and be like, they were like, what's it like living there? It like rains all the time. People are hella depressed. I'm like, yeah, for like 6 months. And then 6 months of the year is the most beautiful place in the world. And like, they're like, what? It's like, no, I was like, yeah, it's still the West Coast. Like, we do get sunshine. We just don't, like, no one reports on the sunshine because, like, why would you? We're all kicking it outside. So, like, we always, like, go places and go, like, oh, no, it rains. Like, oh, it's really bad there. Like, we perpetuate it to, like, keep people away from it. And then, like, the tech started booming and, like, everyone just, like, found a job here. So, it's definitely got a lot bigger, but I always like to say like Washingtonians are always just like, no, like don't move there, or you do just move to the east side because like we don't go over there. So it's like it's okay.
Yeah, go to Pullman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forks.
We
yes.
good over here.
I wanted to ask you, with the development of media, was it easy or hard for you to adapt to?
It was easy. I mean, I've just always been like a figure it out kind of person. Like when I found out what blogs were, I was like, okay, let's do this. And then moved it to the website. And then when it came to interviews, thank God I had Harry over here. Just, I mean, before I used to go out with my little flip cam. Like, I don't even know if you guys know what those are.
No, I know.
Those little
It's like,
the little tiny camera with a little button. Like, I used to be out there with that. And then Harry did a lot of my interviews, and then I ended up finally getting my own camera, and just I've always been the person who's gonna like, I'm gonna figure this out myself. And then when it came to podcasts, like when I was on radio, like I love Q, but they didn't teach me shit, so I had to like teach myself all this stuff. I mean, thank God. And then there's always like YouTube University, and like you can figure it out. If you really want to learn something, do it. I'm always a person who likes to learn so that I know like if the person who's doing this for me is doing a good job, and then like maybe they just do it a certain way, and then I learned something while doing the process, and I can be like, okay, try this. Yeah. So do it yourself, guys.
I'm giving that a round of applause. Because if you didn't hear, Casey started on one of these little tiny. They're expensive now because the resurgence of them. But like,
oh my God, I have one. I mean, I still have it.
Oh, that's dope.
I know. I need to plug it into the computer and see if it still works.
It probably will, and then you can just auction it off on eBay. No, because like
no, I'm saying the stuff on the camera is hella embarrassing. I'd be cringing.
Such a raw, like uncut version of our town that we love. You know, before we had access to media, and the reason why I asked that question is because there's an era of which our locals talk about that you can only talk about. You don't have any records of. You know, there is that like legendary video of the old CD that I always go back to, and I'm like every person you seen on the block was black. You know, that's true Africa Town. Like, and like having those moments, you know, having those stories. I think it's always important to me, like, for us to tell them and like for other people to feel it, like how it was out here. As you said, you know, melting pot, South End, 98118 was one of the most diverse zip codes. Well, up until like 2015, I would say 2016.
Yeah.
Gentrification is a bitch. It's been a uphill battle that like many major cities have to deal with. And I find it interesting that like, you know, that we're kind of like a exception to that rule, to the outside eyes looking in. They're like, oh, Seattle's so great. Like, it can't be happening like that. It's like, what the fuck? Like, our whole Rainier Valley, we always talk about this. A lot of our episodes really.
Nah, come on, we haven't brought it up in a while.
Yeah,
we haven't gone on a fuck gentrification rant in a while. So like, I'm glad we set it off and like ended the year kind of on that tone.
It's just it's really interesting to see because we have, you know, I call them the Seattle elite. Like they're the ones who kind of run our city, our major city, and like how things like flow around here. And then we have like the real Seattle, like right up under it, that are the families and generations that built this city for what it is to be today. And it's important for us to get those stories out. And, you know, I definitely took into consideration like what you've done in the past and like your work. Like that is so important to have like our people and on that camera and representing like the kids at home who, you know, don't have anyone to look up to because they're a Pacific Northwest kid whose family immigrated here and has been living here for the past like 30 or so years. That's a blanket statement, but like, you know, I resonate with that and like that's me too. So I know there's a lot more kids and families out there that believe the same way. You know, all in all, I kind of forgot what I was talking about. We can go back to the fuck gentrification, but I think what I was trying to get across was that your work is very important. A lot of what you've done is like we try to emulate here at the Groovy Tapes. Like I can't express that enough. Like you didn't have to do what you did. You know, the fact that you took a liking to writing and that you went to that first show that got you into media, like, you know, we kind of I think we put ourselves in a bubble, like the media bubble. We put ourselves in that kind of weird bubble. I don't really talk about it much, but it's like we kind of have we have to live a dual life. There's our life of the media and like, you know, getting the story out, and then there's our actual life that we have to live. So it's really hard. It's really hard to deal with both of them because all you'll go out into the public and they're like, oh, that's the Groovy Tapes. Oh, that's Miss Casey Carter. And, you know, having the platforms, you get a lot of like a 50-50. You get people who are like, how can I use you to help myself? And then you have the other 50% that are like, how can I help you to help the rest of us? And you definitely fall under that like half of 50% that's like, I want to help everyone else.
Yeah.
And can I get a hand clap for this?
I was
Harry said it on the last episode where it was like nobody was trying to help us. Like, you know, like there was like, I think we came in the middle where it's like there's all these younger cats now, and then there's the OGs of the Seattle hip hop scene, and you know, nothing but love to everybody, but nobody was like, I like what you're doing, let me help you out. And it was like we were just trying to figure things out. So once I finally got into somewhat a position to be able to help people, I was like, fuck that, I'm about to help everyone. Like, either you're gonna take it and you're gonna blow up or you're not, but I don't want you to ever be like, Casey didn't look out for me. You know, like I know what it feels like to not be looked out for. So do you
I want to. I'm not even gonna ask. I'm gonna give you guys the credit. I want to give you guys the credit for ushering in us. Essentially, like anyone I listened to today, you guys have like I want to say you're from the generation that has literally helped open countless and countless doors. And
First gen.
cause I can't count I want to say like the Sir Mix-a-Lot generation. Cause I can't touch them. I haven't seen them out. I haven't really experienced their energy in the space, but I countlessly see you out somewhere. I countlessly run into like Jarv and Gab and like Cam, like even Cam. We were bowling before we interviewed. Like just moments like that where like even running into Harry constantly, like seeing you guys makes you guys real to us, and I just like I think it's really dope. And I know we've been like, we haven't asked a question in a while, and it's really just been like celebrating you. But like, I don't know. It's like media is so tricky to do, and it's such a tough balance to do. And as Tavares has said, you literally gave us a blueprint to like continue it and like lead by like the example that you showed. So I really want to thank you on camera, because it's just like, you like there's like I can go back and watch Glow Up podcasts or you on Cube or you and Harry interviewing people and get like a feel for like, all right, how do I approach this? How do I like, all right, what's a good question? What's not a good question? How do I stop someone from being awkward even if they don't know how to like be extroverted? Like as soon as the camera goes on, how do I turn it on and like make sure that person can like reciprocate the energy? And I'm like, a lot of it comes from like the blueprint that you guys gave us. And like, I hope there are people out there thanking you constantly. And if they aren't, we want to publicly thank you.
Thank you. No, people show love. I really do appreciate it. I've just been doing this, and like, I be trying to think back to like all I've done, and I don't be remembering because you just, you just move and
You do so much that it's hard to like keep account of it. Like,
and you're always just trying to keep up with what you did too as a creative. That's like the fucked up part. But this pandemic just happened, and it's like, well, it's still happening, and it's like I've had the time to like really appreciate what I've been able to do. And like it's great when other people tell you, but it's like we always beat ourselves up. So when you finally like take some time to really appreciate and like feel yourself, it's like it feels really good. I used to feel myself so much. I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. So like when I started Miss Casey Carter and like I was out here kicking it, just doing the most, I was feeling myself. Like I had a huge fucking ego, and I was like, do you know who the fuck I am? Like I just was fucking bad out here, and I had a real humbling moment. And that moment like took me all the way down to where like I was like, bitch, you're not shit. Like you need to, you're just out here pretending you're filthy. And it's just been hard to like balance the like, okay, appreciate what you do, but also don't fucking feel yourself too much. Yeah, it's so hard.
I run into I guess I would run into the same problem. Like I talk a lot of shit on like Twitter and Instagram about just like being in the rooms and things like that. But I'm also like, this duality of like maintaining this like whatever this is, like whatever this like local being out and recognized, like whatever this balancing act is very hard not to be like, we've earned this, but also we haven't earned anything. Like, so
it's hard. Trust me. But don't go as far as I went, because it was bad. I was just like, I think back to like how I was like replying to people. They'd be like, you want to come to this show? I'd be like, you need me at this show. Like I fucking said that shit to somebody. Like that's so ugly. But then also too, it's like there needs to be some sense of like feeling yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
where you are in the world.
like, because like when you think about like when you're like, okay, you did that shit, like that motivates you even more. But if you're constantly being like, okay, you kind of deserve that, but not really, you're gonna be inching your way to success. So find that balance, y'all. Don't take as long as I did to find it.
So I wanted to ask about gradually rising in the media game, and like what was that feeling like when you went from you and Harry running around interviewing to actually getting the job at Cube? Like what was that like timing like in life?
Long road. Super long road. I mean, doing all that stuff just independently, and then like throwing shows and continuously doing interviews, and then starting the Glow Up podcast, and then And then finally landing the job at Cube, that was like so surreal because I grew up on Cube. Like I said I wanted to be a nighttime player. Like I used to have my $93, like you remember the serial numbers on the 93 on the dollar bills. We used, like I loved Cube. I won free gas for a year from Cube. Like I was on Cube, you know, like that was how we listened to music. Music's always been a big part of my life before like downloading music and shit. So when I finally got connected with them and just like without an internship, without anything, with just like they're revamping Cube, the program director hits me up and is like, I heard about you. What's good? And I'm just like, is this real life right now? Like, what's going on? I'm still working a full-time job at a tech company. I'm just like, but I'm like, is this real? I don't know. And finally getting that, it was an incredible feeling. And then for them to give me that slot of hosting the local music show on Sunday nights, which was from DJ Hyphen and Jay Moore, rest in peace. They were the ones, like, for us, that was like everything, you know, every Sunday night sound sessions. Like I had announcements. I would go up there. If you're an artist, you go up there, you premiere your music. But they also like fucked with like J. Cole and all. Like I think they were like one of the first radio stations to ever play J. Cole's music way back then. So
that's incredible.
Like to go into that slot, it was just like, do I deserve this? Like, this is so crazy. But it was such a great experience. Like, I'm forever grateful. And like, even though I don't work with them anymore, like I love the people over at Cube. Like, shout out to them. And, you know, I wish things were a lot different here in Seattle. Yeah. Because clearly we weren't able to survive, you know? And like, if we were in different cities, they celebrate hip hop a little more, and it is just what it is. Like I had to be very real with myself. Like no one's listening to the radio, and when we were listening on that Sunday night. Yeah. But other than that, it's like they don't really have any. Like they're not surviving. Great, you know. So it sucks, but what a great time! What a great time!
No, that was an amazing time to just like stay up, like be on a late night drive in like high school. On like a Sunday night, like on my way home, and just like hear your voice and hear you come on the radio and just be like, holy shit, like I know this song. Like I'm listening to the radio and I know this song. So it's like it's like a really cool experience from like working with the people and now being able to debut them, some of them for the first time on the radio. And like that's a beautiful thing, especially when you're like, I'm from here. Mm-hmm. And now I get to actually showcase like the people I know and the people that I love.
It's what I always wanted. I mean, that was me right there. That was everything I ever wanted to do. And like, there are always moments where I'm always like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, what am I doing this for? Like, I'm doing all this selfless work for other people. And like, maybe it's time for me to walk away. And then moments like that and opportunities like that will present themselves. And I'll be like, what the hell is happening in the universe? Like, this is crazy. And then it's just like to be able to discover all the time. Because it's like I didn't know a lot of the artists that were submitting their music. Yeah. And every week I'd be like, yo, this is fire. Like, this is dope. And to be able to just like mix it in with like, because I was able to play some of the other like national artists, but like music that wasn't being played like during the regular week. Yeah. So that was just even more filthy, where I was like, I get to play the slaps. Yeah. Like, for real. And it was just such a good time. I'm so grateful for that opportunity.
I'm grateful as well as a radio listener, because I was definitely one of the few that were still listening to the radio. Like even to this day, I still listen to the radio. I think that just touches on the fact of my like huge hardship with Seattle or local Washington radio stations. You know, I definitely think there's some kind of disconnect between the black and then BIPOC like people that like ignited our music scene. Like they are our music scene, and like why are they not being played on the radio?
Well, you gotta think about who lives here. Like what's the demographic of people who live here, and like the majority, and like what's the big market. Right. Like that was what I had to be real about. I mean, like now I'm working at the Croc and like I'm booking shows, and it's like, think about the amount of people who are coming to like these shows. Like, what does our city truly look like? Like, we may think that it's like us because we see each other all the time and we're at the community events we're at, but we nah.
Yeah, we not pulling up as often. I yell at more white people than I do constantly, just because they're bad drivers. But No, I'm constantly yelling at them for doing something.
But shout out to KEXP though, because you know they do a really great job and at like just supporting local. It doesn't matter like what color you are, what genre you are. There's a space for you on there, and it's not just like on the Sunday night between these 2 hours.
Yeah.
KEXP does an amazing job at just like supporting the Seattle music scene and has always done it. So, you know, just
that is
fuck
true.
with them some.
They did
sometimes they play the cuts, and I think they like let some curse words off sometimes too, which is fun. So I like that.
I know they had Enum Claw up there the other day, and didn't they just do something with Jarv recently as well? Or
they did. I think we did like an interview, but I mean, just even like they play his music, like they play a lot of the homies' musics constantly on there, which is like you just never know. Versus like. And I'm not bashing Cube, but when you turn on Cube, you know you're going to hear like Roddy Ricch or Doja Cat or something.
It's
like
not
that.
as local as it needs to be. And I always feel like the only reason I'm very hard on Cube is because like Cube, like in my history of being living here, they've done a lot of cool things. Like the Halloween, like
they were the shit, man.
Oh
yeah,
my
like
God, Summer
the
Jam,
like
the haunted house was filthy. Like everything was, and that's the thing. It's like it's a different Cube now.
Yeah,
like. I love the people who host a morning show, but it's like, I think Rockright's on there now, DJ Rockwright, but it's like, shout out to Strawberry and Lisette. I love you guys. Don't hate me. But they're not from here.
Yeah.
And it's like they're hosting our morning show. Like, you know, but again, there's just like things that we don't get that radio gets. Like that's what I was realizing when I was there, where it's like I 100% like I feel everything you guys are saying and I feel the same frustrations. Yeah. But then when you get there and you see how things work, you're like, okay, you know, it's like business. Trying to fight something that you're not really gonna win. You know?
Yeah. What like?
Does that lie on the community then to actually show up and like you know? Support those avenues in the way where you know we can have that real balance mix between you know supporting our locals as well as like just playing anything we'd like.
I feel like it just makes more room for people like you guys, like for you guys to curate the culture. Like, you know, like I think a lot of times we always like try to go after like what's the most again, I said this before, like we try to fuck with like what's the biggest and like whatever versus like fucking with these things that are really for the community. Like we're trying to change something that's not for us, and we're trying to like we want something from it that's really they're not going to give it to us versus like you guys are giving exactly what the community wants. So let's put all that energy of like what we want from Cube into supporting Groovy Tapes.
I love that.
You know, it's we just want what we want, but I think that we need to like kind of switch the way we do things a little bit. Like
stop looking for it in a place that won't like, allow it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's like always when it came to supporting the artists, it's like I could sit here and support like promote all these big artists, but it's like they're already getting support. Like they already do their thing, and like we have so much dope shit here. Let's bring that up.
Yeah.
And you know, like do something about it. Stop complaining.
That's really powerful too. I'm glad you said that because I think we had to stop complaining. And you know why aren't we seeing our favorite artists on a platform that is talking about them outside of their music?
Yeah,
and we were like, we already talk enough for free. We talk to each other all damn day, and we can sit here and conversate hours on end. But how do we elevate that?
Yeah.
How do we get it to a point where it's not just reaching us two in this room, it's reaching a million kids in King County, Pierce County, you know, anywhere in Washington, and they're able to hear like something that they can resonate with. So, dang, I'm really glad that you said that because like, yeah, we had to stop complaining. Like it was something that we were like, man, what the heck is going on? Like, why am I going to places and I'm just now finding out that there's this dope ass country grunge artist that is from the South End? Like, well, how did I not know about this?
I thought you were gonna shout out, bro. You're all that.
But no, it's just amazing to hear these stories and just be around it. I wanted to ask you. Oh, did you want to?
I was gonna let one ring off.
Okay, you can let one definitely let.
There was a
one
lot
ring
of game in that last conversation we had, and it deserves a round of applause.
We love to talk about teams here, and I wanted to ask you if you had a team during your process of creating the media.
Lots of teams.
Any special shout outs or
Yeah.
people that really like helped you formulate?
Oh my God, so many. I mean, obviously, shout out to Harry for like being Harry. He like literally came into Kicks and Teas when I was working there in the South End and was like, yo, like, let me shoot your interviews. And I was like, who the fuck is this little guy? And from there, like, Harry's been my brother. So shout out to him. Ari, I've done a lot of work with. Like, he did all of my anniversary flyers. And then the blow up was like such a big part of everything. So like Carrick, Acacia, Adela, God, there's so many. But, you know, everybody with the blow up team. Then the glow up. Shout out to Mo and Naomi. And then more recently, somebody I connected with, she started off as my intern, and now we've just been working together as my girl, Lisa. She doesn't live here anymore, but she does R&B whispers. She's really dope Filipino woman. She's from Alaska, moved to Seattle. We connected, and just like she's been down since day one. And then I gotta shout out my homies, my homegirls, because man, like back then they were the ones who held me up. Like they were the ones who were coming to all the interviews with me. Like they were the ones coming to the shows with me, taking all the pictures and like staying out till 4 o'clock in the morning, kicking it. Like my homegirls are the ones who really held me down, because I would have been out here by myself. Who knows what would have happened to me?
Yeah.
You know, drinking and doing crazy shit. My friends were like there for me all the time. So shout out to, they're definitely a part of the team too.
Shout out to the clerk.
Yeah. I mean, everybody. There's so many people. I'm sure I'm missing some people, but you know, shout out to everybody.
Yeah, if you helped Miss Casey Carter during her journey, we appreciate you guys.
Yes.
All of you. This is definitely the place where we celebrate our team. Our friends who helped us on the way. It's important to know about them as much as it is to know about the journey. So that's why I asked the question.
You guys are like Seattle drink champs.
Yes, thank you for that one, because we get Seattle No Jumper all the time, and I'm just like,
No, that's like, they're negative.
there's very salacious, like there's
no jumper in the Breakfast Club. I'm like,
shout out,
kind of different.
shout out to the like the infrastructure. I always take it as like I appreciate it, because that means you believe that this will be a thing. Like just
you
you
guys
know,
are a thing.
I appreciate that. It's a 2-year-old baby, but we trying to build her up. But I wanted to ask, how was it picking like people to be a part of the team? Because I know like this is like there was 2 versions of this. Like there was a original version of like us doing media and things like that, and that was like awful. And then it evolved to like the Groovy Tapes, and like it was very important to like set boundaries and just make these sort of like, all right, if we want this is the things that it's gonna take. So how was it for you, like choosing those people during like the journey and like getting to this point?
It's so bad, because I just be believing in everybody, and I just be like, you want a shot? Okay. Like I would do like open calls for interns, and I would get people who would message me, and a lot of them would not work. They would just like come in and have this other idea of what shit was, and it was not what it was, and they would like bounce after 2 weeks. And I mean, I'd be like, no hard feelings, but I'd be like, this is fucking weak. Like, you wasted my time. But then I don't know, it's really hard for me, because I just be trying to give everybody an opportunity. Like, you never know. But then I think I just started like kind of weeding things out a little, like what you said, setting boundaries, like having expectations, and like really setting ground rules is what I had to like discipline myself to do. I'm very like hard-headed, and I don't like nobody telling me what to do. And like, you know, with creative stuff, you kind of are like, I'm just figuring this shit out, like, you know. But I had to be like very real with myself and be like, okay, if you're gonna like start really rocking with people, they gotta like really be carrying the weight that you're bringing. Because it's like, I always would downplay myself and be like, you're just doing like, you know, this is what I do. But then it's also hard work, and like if you can't match that, then like, what are we doing here?
Exactly.
And I had to be real with myself and be like, okay, stop trying to just help every single person and put everybody on. Like, they also have to do the work too. So it's balance. It took me a long time too. And I'm still a sucker for trying to help somebody out all the time. I'm so bad.
Well, I feel like that's part of your personality, and I think it's a beautiful part just because like everyone, especially here, needs an opportunity at least once. Like if they don't work out, like you burn the opportunity. Especially Miss Casey Carter is handing out opportunities, and you see how long she's been in the game. So like, don't falter after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But
people think they be knowing though. It's fun to watch. Like, you know, like, okay, let's see what happens.
Exactly.
Let me see what other ship you're gonna try to hop on. That's what it'd be like. But you know, the real ones are gonna always just make shit happen.
Yeah. We were talking before the camera started and stuff about you ending the podcast. Can I ask why did it come to an end, or
the glow, my baby. I love the glow up. So the glow up, the pandemic happened, and I felt like once that happened, it felt like we were just like on go, like how are we going to keep this alive? Like we got to survive, and you know, we got to just make sure we do this every week. And then it got really, really good because we were able to finally talk with people who weren't in Seattle and like really speak with some incredible CEOs and like real bosses out here doing amazing things across the country, and bring that game back to our listeners who are mainly here in Seattle. But then like shit, just like the pandemic didn't stop. Like it just kept going. And like, I don't know, like Naomi, my co-host, she ended up getting pregnant, and just like, it didn't feel like it was fun anymore. Yeah. It just felt like we were just trying to keep up with this every single week. And I'm like, we used to do events with the podcast. We used to do networking events. We used to do all these things. And it was like, we can't do any of this stuff anymore. We're just like sitting here on the microphones every week on Zoom. And it just, I don't know, the fun like started getting sucked out of it. So I was like, okay, let's take a break. Oh, and I was getting fucking married. I forgot about that.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So it was like all this stuff was happening, and I was just like, let's take a break. Let's be real with ourselves. Like, let's take care of ourselves and stop trying to force this. And then we just never came back. I was like, okay, I do think it's time, because I don't think I'll go back to doing this. Like I think podcast work, like I think this is working for you guys. This is awesome. I think for when I started it to where I'm at now with the glow up, it's not working. Now, can it evolve into something else? Knowing me, probably. Yeah. But for right now, I think it's definitely time to like let it go. There's so much game on those episodes. There's so much like business stuff, and so much like I learned so much. Every week it was like I was going to church, because I was like, damn, like I feel so inspired now. This is dope. Like, but it's just time to put it down. And like, we're just all different people now. Yeah. We're such different people. Like, we started that 4 years ago, and like, it's just so different. Yeah. But I mean, like Naomi, Mo, and Keith, that's like family now. I love them so much, and I just can't wait to see like what happens next for us. But I'm a person who like, I need to put a nail in it. Like with the blow up, when we did the blow up, like that was a great experience. And like doing what what Miss Casey Carter was doing. The reason I started the blow up was because I was like, I need to remove my name from like this situation and like make this like a brand. And then like we were doing it, having a good time. Then like blogs started disintegrating and doing their thing. So we're like, boom, let's put a nail in that. Let's end that officially. And now with the glow up, it's like, let's officially end this and like start a new chapter.
I think that's a very healthy and important like step in like growing, just being like knowing that it's like it's okay to end something and without like burning it all down and just being like, oh man, like fuck everyone, like this was all terrible the 4 years. It's I think it's very important that you were just like, it ran its course. I love like what we did. Well, it'll always mean something and it'll always exist, but like let's grow out of it. And I think that's dope. Because like that's kind of how we got here. It's like we did something else, it didn't work, and it was just like, all right, it just snowballed into the what we exist as the Groovy Tapes.
Don't be afraid to like say something is done. I think that was something that a lot of people do with their like creative endeavors, is like when something finally runs its course, they don't like end it. And some people, maybe there's no reason not to, I mean, to do it, you know, but I feel like so many people ask me, you know, like what's up with the podcast, or what's up with the blow up, like all this stuff where it's like, if I don't like officially end something, then like you're just gonna keep asking about it. It's gonna annoy the fuck out of me. So just know that it's gone now. It's done.
No, I loved it. You were giving me game every week, especially as like someone in the business space. Like a few months ago, you posted a podcast, you and two other podcast hosts, about running a successful podcast, and that was probably so helpful to me, because I'm like, we're in a stage where we need to grow and like this has to become profitable, and sooner or later, just because like there's a lot of things that I would like to provide in the space and keep going. So those are the moments where I'm just like, I'm glad there is someone also in the scene that I can look to, but also like I can now like we can exchange it rather email or just like in person, and be like, oh shit, you have all this knowledge because you've been doing it for 4 years and you've talked to like business owners, CEOs. So there's a level that like I appreciate, like having that history and like just that back catalog I can go through and just like get game constantly. If you don't watch, and you should go back and watch, the Glow Up has a ton of episodes that would like fulfill you and grow you as a person. Just like us here, that there'll be a local person or someone from a different state that you could just like absorb some energy, get some game, and just like be fulfilled. Because like it's a beautiful thing just hearing you in that space where it's just like I can achieve something. And in podcasts, it's nice to hear people just expand on their ideas and just something that you may have thought of, but like here's somebody who's like, nah, I spent 5 years doing this. Like, this is how it actually works.
You never know. I mean, and also too, with what you're saying, like how I think we've done like 2 series of like us teaching people like what to do to run a successful podcast. And I think that's just during the pandemic, that's definitely what I've pivoted towards, is trying to help people with their creative stuff and help them with the simple things. So like running a podcast, there's obviously I've did it for 4 years. I know what it takes to mess up, and I know what it takes to be successful. And then with the artists, like I've created like templates and stuff like that, and creatives, because it's like, that was another thing I was running into was a lot. I mean, so for the podcast, it was like, I would have people come on the show and they would like be hella awkward. Like there would be certain situations where it's like, okay, if they knew how to like not be this way, then like boom, they can go on another podcast and shine. But then also as a podcast host, it's like, how do you get like big people on your show? How do you get people to not be nervous? Like those are little things that like we don't think about, where it's like I can literally just like write that down for you and help you out. Then when it comes to creatives, it's like I used to get tons of emails of people who like want me to interview them or come to their show or listen to their music, and the list goes on. And I used to fucking be a bitch about it and like screenshot it, never put their name or anything, and be like, look at this shit, like this is a fucking joke. But then it was like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I clowning this person? They just don't fucking know. Versus like, okay, let me put together these easy templates where they can follow, because clearly they don't have a manager. They think they need a manager. They're just starting out, like they don't know. So I started putting together like all these templates for like simple things that every creative or artist uses. And that's what I've been pushing lately, because it's just like, you guys just need this little tiny piece, this right here. And like, cause it was always an email where it'd be like, this person could be so filthy, but I'm not going to listen to it because it's like your email's fucking annoying. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. You wrote me like your whole life story, or you just wrote like, just listen to this. And it was like, how do they think this is okay? This is not okay. So that's just where I'm at right now, where I'm like, all the knowledge I've gained for the past years, I want to be able to pass that along to people so that they can, you know, I'm just providing shortcuts for people.
And I think that's really dope. Just even when you that specific clip of you just teaching like how do people ask for an interview, and just be like, send an email, you know, like do the research beforehand to know like what you're asking for, because essentially like you may get something that you hate, you know, like because it may not be the platform you need to be on. you may be talking to the wrong people that just aren't either like they're overly interested and like it's not like gonna work, or they're under interested and you got to sell yourself to them, and now it's just like this weird game. So I think you providing that information is like very key. And like, again, I watched it and I was like, oh, this is very important to me, because like we ended up DMing you and then emailing you and just being like, okay, this is like a formal inviting and like a great way to seem more to seem professional, because like at the end of the day, you want someone to know that it's not just gonna like waste their time, and it's not gonna be like even though we are really silly and goofy here, it's not gonna be like that as regards of like your time and just things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, just come correct at first. That's all it really be. It's just like it is not. It takes way less words to come correct than it does. Like people be thinking you need to like really sell yourself at the moment, and it just be like, nah. It's just these like little gems that I have in those templates. Where it's like it makes it super super easy to get what you kind of want.
Exactly.
I need a hand clap for all of that real quick. And if you're confused at home about what we're talking about media etiquette. A lot of
communications is the big thing I always say. It's like I'm helping you with your communication.
Yes.
It's and that's so important, because people at home don't have the knowledge, or I won't say that blanket statement, but a lot of me and my peers, we don't know like communication skills and what it takes to be a professional within the entertainment or music industry. If you're listening at home, please go check out Casey's templates and information about how to present yourself in this setting. You don't have to change up your whole lifestyle. I think it's important to stay true to who you are, but definitely realize this is a business decision for yourself at the end of the day, and you want to come off as someone who is approachable, someone is knowledgeable. Yeah, go listen to that free game, man. This is this whole episode is definitely full of free game, and I myself have definitely used that template as an artist.
Thank you.
I'm so for real. It helped me out with how to be a podcast host here in the Groovy Tapes. It also helped me out as an artist when I'm reaching out for maybe bookings, features with different artists. It just gives an all around like completion to what you're doing. It's important. You wanna show people that you're serious about what you're doing.
There we go. That's what it is. Yeah. And also too, we be hella like the people you're sending these emails to be hella busy. They don't want like we want everything to be like super easy. Like this is what you want. This is who you are. Boom. There's your media kit. There's your EPK. This is what they've been doing. All right, cool. They seem legit. Let me reply back, or let me not.
Yeah.
Like, it's just make it easy for the person you're trying to get something from.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I know this episode's been chock full of a whole bunch of game, but before I wrap it up, Casey, do you have anything you want to let your peers know, or your listeners know what you got going on, or even a little slice of more game they would like to hear from you?
Really, it's just those templates. Like that's the biggest thing, and I'm looking to develop a lot more other templates that I know like were really helpful that I needed back in the day. But right now we just got like EPK, media kit templates. And then we also have email templates that you can basically just like customize and copy yourself. And you can request to perform at shows. So you can send them to like talent buyers, venues and stuff like that, promoters, interview requests. So like if somebody wants to be on the Groovy Tape podcast, they can, use that template right there. And then the other template, what do I have? I forget. Oh my God, I'm blanking now. Oh, new music submission, because it's like I've seen hundreds of emails of people sending music submissions, and it just be like, I know what ones got me to actually listen to their music. So I took some of that and just put that in there. So nice. I'm just out here trying to help you guys with your communications. It's not that hard. I know not everyone has a manager or something like that, but just do the stuff yourself, and you know, let us help you with those communications, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I see what works and what doesn't. So I got you guys.
Come on.
And that's it.
Oh my goodness. Before I let us really out, I know you're probably at home wondering why there was no Tranquil Forest up in the air. It's okay. We're smoking on the finest. We still smoke on the finest. Thank you, Tranquil Forest. We appreciate you guys.
Also, Merry Christmas if you celebrate.
Oh, yes. Happy holidays. We're coming up, wrapping the new year. We definitely had to end the year off with some motherfucking bangers. So yes, at this point, thank you everyone at home for tuning in. 2021, man. We really appreciate you guys. It's been a long road. Episode 68.
Yes.
Episode 68. And
100, we're throwing a party.
Yeah, we're throwing an event. We're going crazy. We hope to keep it very groovy within the next year, 2022. KWJT, you've been grooving with the South. We got Corey, Casey, and Koi. Whole lot of C's.